Shooting it raw?
Yes, shooting it raw. One of the difficulties of podcasting is the audio. It's all audio. And so people are really aware of quality. There's actually this company, it's called Zencastr. And I actually do use Zencastr if I'm recording with, let's see, what have I done? I've done Bali, I've done India, I've done South Africa, I've done, of course, the US, UK. So it works. That's the great thing about Zencastr. You could get video as well in HD, no less. The link's in the description. Make it happen. Use the promo code ZEN, Z-E-N if you're Canadian, or Z-E-N if you're American. Do that, and you'll get 30% off. You get 30% off the first 3 months. Use it. Do it. Start your own podcast. I'm sure that if you start a podcast, I will listen to it, and I would not be surprised if it was better than shooting it raw. So check it out, Zencastr. There's this thing called VinoVest, and people are beginning to talk about it. It's on TechCrunch, Forbes, and what is it? It's basically people who invest in fine wine and make money off that. Fine wine is essentially, it's the best kept secret, right? Because wine doesn't really change in value all that much. It actually gains in value. So you actually get ownership of world-class wines, and it's attractive, and it's a really strong investment that wealthy people know all about this stuff. I mean, you get 500% returns. It's nuts. So VinoVest, links in the description as always. Check them out. Use Shooting It Raw as your promotional code. And if you do that, you'll get 2 months of no fees. So check out the website. You can see how it works and why wine is actually an amazing investment. And yeah, so check it out. You might just make a huge ton of cash.
Photography to me is a combination of beauty captured and memories encapsulated, like little precious moments. And I have a bit of a challenging relationship with my camera roll because it's a disaster, but it's very much, a mirror of my life. I mean, it's everything from food porn to just beautiful moments, sunrises on beaches, because you just can't help yourself because you're like, wow, I did get up at 6:30 and I am seeing a purple haze. This is amazing. But it is interesting, like how when I look through my photos, I'm like, wow, it's such a mess. So I think the word deliberate could not be applied. My phone does not look like a beautiful Instagram sort of melange. It's very life. It's very across the board. Yeah.
Perfect. Jen Nash calling in from New York City, represent. We're going to get to know you. I'm going to get to know you. We're going to share with the world your work. And I am going to do my best to, like I do with all of my guests, to really share people's stories, to inspire others. Let's see what happens.
Awesome. Is there sort of a target audience or something that you really like people to get to, so that you're like something that your audience particularly loves and particularly resonates with, so I can be sure to hit the nail on the head?
Well, that's a great question. The main thing we're going to be sort of addressing, either explicitly or indirectly, is, now what if life really is a gift? Okay. I happen to think that it is. But if it is a gift, how do we make every second count? And I'm human, you're human, ups and downs, normal distribution of shit and great. But how do we increase the great? So that's kind of the audience, people who might be wanting to increase the great.
I love that.
So I don't look at the photos. Let's see what you sent me. And here we go. What? This is great. Okay. So the first image I have is, I'm assuming it's a selfie of you and this other woman, both of you smiling really warmly. Quaintly enough, behind your heads is a framed photo that's impressionistic, or it's not quite a Van Gogh, but it's kind of like that. It's like lots of swirling colors, and it's perfectly matched to, you're wearing a kind of a lime-ish sweater with a nice green scarf, and you've got these very nice red rimmed glasses that you're wearing now as well. Your expression is really warm and open and so kind and sweet. And then resting tete-a-tete, forehead to forehead, is another face. And I don't know if this woman is recognizable. Like, I feel like I know everybody. So I'm just like, do I know that person as well? But you're holding up a book. Either she is or you are. And it's such a sweet, sweet moment. And the book has a title, The Big Power of Tiny Connections. And Jen Nash, take it away. What am I looking at?
So in January of this year, I published a book, The Big Power of Tiny Connections, How Small Interactions Spark Awesome Outcomes. And I dedicated it to my mom, who passed away 6 years ago. And my mom, basically for the last 30 years, was saying, like, where's the book? Where's the book? Where's the book, Jennifer? Yeah. And I kept saying, what's the book about, Mom? I don't know what the book's about. What book should I write? Are you going to tell me what to write about? I'll write the book when I know what the book's about. And so 2 years ago, at the beginning of the pandemic, I started a writing class, and I wasn't sure we were writing books, but sure enough, we all wrote books. And
wow.
One of the questions that they asked us was, what makes you you? That's the book you should write. What is your special superpower?
Okay.
And one of my superpowers is connecting with people almost anywhere, all the time, and turning it into something unexpected and magical.
Here we are.
And here we are. That's true. Because if we share how we know each other, I met your friend Kim while she was sitting in the middle of the Nevada desert crying because she'd lost her mom. And she was debating going to the temple to lay an offering at the temple to her mom. And
is that really how we met?
Yeah, we met through Kim, didn't we? Yeah, we met through Kim Spencer.
Okay, there's a connection, the power of tiny connections I did not realize.
Yeah, she said, you must chat with Rand.
Right, of course. Now I remember. Sorry, listen. Head trauma, forget lots of stuff. It's all good.
And so, anyway, after my mom passed, Sylvia would randomly, I don't think she knows that my mom would do that, but Sylvia started saying, you going to write a book? Are you going to write a book? You going to write a book?
Okay.
And the woman in the photo with me is Sylvia. So the dedication in my book, I'll read it to you just because I want to get it right. It says, so my book says, for Mom, who always knew I had a book in me, and for Sylvia, who lovingly hounded me long after Mom could not. So Sylvia kept saying, where's the book? Where's the book? And so that is the first photo that I took when I got my book published in January. And I was at Sylvia's house. And the interesting thing is the background that you talked about is a painting that her dad painted. I believe.
Oh, really?
Yes, he's a very, very talented painter, and it's an oil painting.
Okay,
it does actually kind of have a very sort of, impressionistic feeling. It's like, Déjeuner sur l'air kind of thing. And she didn't know that the book was dedicated to her because she hadn't actually bothered to look at the dedication page. So that was the face that she made after I told her the book was dedicated to her. And then she cried.
Jen. I had no idea. What is this? This is crazy. This is amazing. Okay, there's so many things happening. My head's exploding. Okay. Wow. First of all, episode 101. Well done. As you're telling me the story, I'm looking at this. I know what it's like to put together books. I know what it's like to write books. I've ghostwritten books. So I know that it's a baby that takes time to get out, and that it's a lot of work, and there's the birth, and it's so exciting, and there's so much potential. And so as we're having all of this and these thoughts are coming in my head, and you're telling me about like the tension and the pressure and the moment that got you to finally get the book out. And I'm looking at this image of the both of you, and it's so kind and warm and loving and beautiful. And I think that has to be shared with the world. I love it. Well done.
Thank you. I appreciate
that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's funny. Exactly what you said is exactly what happened with regards to the book. I was like, oh my gosh, got to get it out there. And then you have so much hope. And then you realize, oh yeah, it's still really hard to get your book into the hands of anybody. And
yeah.
And I realized I did not write this book to make money. Like I know that we don't make money, but I did write this book to help make lives better. Like, and I do truly believe that little tiny moments in our lives have the opportunity to change the lives of everyone we meet, and everyone we meet has the opportunity to change ours. And I mean, you were talking about life being a gift. I completely agree. In fact, those words are, almost verbatim in the book. I switched it a little bit. I said, every person is a gift. And for me, it's sort of like everybody is potentially a wrapped gift.
Okay.
Like, do you dare pull that ribbon to take a look and see what we got? Because, there's some work you got to put in. You got to do a little unwrapping. You got to ask the right questions. You got to be curious, be vulnerable. And the book is very much a mix of really amazing stories from my life and other people's lives, and a mix of how to, a lot of people are introverted. They're not comfortable in certain situations. And I break down how can they lean in, just a little more. Yeah.
Okay, I'm so happy you wrote this. I'm so happy that we're here. Here's this moment, which is completely impossible. You're in New York. It's morning. I'm in Hong Kong in a sound booth. It's pitch black. You're talking about little, meeting people like gifts that you unwrap and you discover and you dare. That's how I met Kim. Did she tell you how we met?
No.
Absolutely beautiful. I was in Victoria. I was living in a frat house of all things, 40 years old, living in a frat house, totally crazy because it was the only room I could get. And one evening, I'm just bored. It's Monday night. So I go to this bar and I sit down. It's empty. It's playing Nirvana songs. So I'm happy. I have French fries or whatever. And then these 5 clowns walk in the room.
Actual clowns?
Actual clowns, full on makeup, full on the whole, and I'm just staring at them, loving it. And then they're dancing they're going crazy. And after half an hour, I get up and I have to meet these people. So I go over and say what is your story? And who's at the table but Kim, dressed full on clown outfit. And she's it's Monday nights, Luna likes to get dressed up, and here we are. And that's how I met her. And it was just fantastic.
You're hi, super hot clown.
Well, okay. I couldn't tell because there was a big fro and the crazy glasses, but it's so fun. So fun.
That's hilarious.
Okay. So your book. Now I asked you to send me 4 images, and I think we can move on to the next
Yeah.
image. Unless do you want to drop one more bomb about your book to really, okay, say the title at least once more so people can have it burned in their ear holes.
The big power of tiny connections. I mean, to me, it's like, yeah, the big power of tiny connections. And the nice thing about it is I really struggled picking the title. Someone that I trusted kept saying it's too long, it's not catchy, it's not
What?
catchy. But I know, but every time I said the big power of tiny connections, people got what the book was about. Like
Yep.
immediately. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna trust my gut. I think that's my title.
Yeah. And you're blessed with a perfect name.
The big power of I was actually shocked that no one's ever written a book called The Big Power of Tiny Connections.
Okay. No, but I was saying that you're also blessed with a perfect name. Jennash.
The 2-syllable killer.
Perfect. It's perfect.
I know. I realized, so Sylvia's daughter is my goddaughter, and Mia has been calling me Jennash since she was 5. When I first met her, that little kid just never called me Jen. She always called me Jennash, and if possible, she screamed it as 5-year-olds do.
Awesome.
So I kind of decided to lean into that.
I love it.
I can't wait to see what I sent you next.
Okay. Oh, great. Okay. I love it. Okay. So in this photo, it's okay. So I like it because it's got like the ceramic adobe. I don't know if it's adobe, but it's like that sort of salmon ceramic color. It's pretty lush. And I mean, it could be Mexico, could be Spain. It's 6 women dressed to the amazing nines. Holy shit. Well, okay, I have to look really close. Okay, so you're on the ground, sort of.
Yeah.
You're in all black with nice shoes. Nice shoes. Your hair and makeup, nice accessories. And then you're surrounded with these other beautifully made women, very strong female expression. You know, one of the pillars of the podcast is strong women, right?
Love
it. So here we go. I love it. So obviously somebody's getting married because one of these people is not like the others, and she's in white, holding a large bouquet. It's overcast. It could be Mexico. It could be Spain. It could be Florida. I have no idea. So what am I looking at?
So I was very touched to be invited to be a bridesmaid at my beautiful friend Katie's wedding, which was in San Miguel de Allende, Mexico last summer.
Oh, wow. And what? Last summer?
Last August, yeah.
What? People were doing that?
Yeah, sure. Everyone had a COVID test, and believe it or not, out of the 120 people, no one got COVID.
Amazing.
Yeah. So it was literally the most beautiful event that I've ever attended. Her vision was stellar, and she let the bridesmaids do their thing, and she just wanted everyone to be like bold and strong and raw. And
wow,
we had this idea, this sort of like impromptu idea to do this sort of badass Sopranos kind of killer vibe photo. And so it turned, this photo is really like, you know, pre-wedding, before all the silliness started. We just dropped into these poses, and I love this photo so much, and everyone looks amazing, and Katie is just
amazing.
Yeah, she just looks regal and stunning and beautiful. And there's so much love for her and for each other in that group. I'm very touched to have been a part of that.
But there's a certain orchestration to the image, because on the one hand, this is her actual wedding. Okay. Mm-hmm. It could so easily be a still from
a photo shoot,
a Quentin Tarantino movie, you know, of just everything's like amped up all the way. Everybody looks perfect. Fuck.
Yes, I know. And I think I shared it because it was also the most intentional wedding that I've ever attended. I cried my guts out. Like the bride and the groom have such softness and sweetness for each other and their friends. They started a chat at that wedding that's still going. Like people are still so connected and wanting to stay connected, and they share art and they share, beautiful things with each other just to inspire and connect.
You've been to Burning Man, yeah? Or no?
I have.
Okay, because Kim's like all about Burning Man. So
Yeah.
if you say that this wedding, in a way, as an event, was one of the most beautiful.
It was a Burning Man wedding. Every single person that you're looking at in that
Ah,
photo has been to Burning Man multiple times.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, 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 okay. That's what it is. Never been.
It's always there. It's just a lot of work.
That's a great allegory for life. It's always there. It's just a lot of work. How do we tie this photo back to your book?
Well, I met Katie in a bathroom at a wedding,
Okay, as you do.
as you do. And we had such a powerful connection that I was in San Francisco briefly, and there was a Burning Man party a couple days later called Decompression. And I
Mm-hmm.
asked if she was going, and she wasn't super invitey. She was going with someone else.
Okay,
I sort of didn't take no for an answer and
nice.
decided that I was just going to keep trying because I really liked her energy and I thought she was lovely.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and I was like, well, what's the worst that can happen? Nothing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. I love it.
And we ended up having so much fun that I asked if she would come to an event in New York a couple months
Okay.
later and, be my date for the evening at this amazing party on a boat. And after I explained how beautiful the party would be, she was like, that does actually sound amazing. And we love
Wow.
costumes, we love beautiful
Yeah.
events. So she invited her best friend, who's also in the photo, Tamara, who is
Okay.
her maid of honor. She has the red rose on the side of her head, just one rose, and she's
Got it.
a beautiful brunette. She's wearing a V-neck dress in the photo. Tamara invited a couple of other people, and it turned into an epic evening that sort of shifted us all into a different
Mm-hmm.
place friendship-wise. So big power of tiny connections
Sure. Yeah.
absolutely comes into play with that photo.
This is great.
I love that I cannot remember you any of the photos that I sent, but that we're managing to find beautiful red threads.
I think photographs really. Well, I was talking to somebody who could not is an engineer and could not really understand contemporary art in a way. Like she just found it too opaque. Like how do I? It just didn't make sense. Like, and it's like, well, you need the context. Like it's not just a visual thing. I mean, it can be, but you learn so much by getting the context and everything around it. So when I sit with people and we go through these images, even like it's funny because some people are just like, I don't know what to send you. I'm not really a photographer. I'm just like, well, look, even if you pick at random, subconsciously something's going to happen, and we're going to find the story in there, and that's fascinating. Sorry if I'm going on and you're like, what's he talking about? But
No,
amazing, amazing photo. I love it.
thank you.
Should we go to the next one?
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, okay. I love it. It's crazy.
Your reaction, me watching your reaction and not seeing the photos is so fun. I'm like, what did I send you?
Well, it's amazing. I've never seen an elephant in this pose before with so many things stuck. Oh, sorry. That was a different web browser. Sorry. I'll just go there. No, in this photograph, totally joking. Okay. So in this photograph, it's done almost at high noon. You're standing with a mask. And there's this nice hat on. You're very stylish. Obviously, you know fashion. You're very fashionable, or at least you've picked images to make yourself just so. But so there's the blue sky behind, and there's a very kind of regal cathedral. Since you
Whoa.
have a mask, and I'm assuming this is a pandemic, and previously it was an image. You're in Mexico. This must be, I'm assuming, a Mexican church.
Yep.
It's absolutely, I mean, like, you have an artistic sense because the image you're curated to send to me for the conversation is just eye-poppingly beautiful. It's the framing's perfect. Everything's delicious. Like the hat, your hair, which is just the perfect color and just the perfect part, and your eyes, which are electric like the sky, which, yeah, just absolutely gorgeous. So what am I looking at?
So, I fell in love after the wedding at Katie's wedding. I fell in love with San Miguel de Allende, and instead of spending 2 weeks there, I spent 2 months there. And
Nice.
yeah, so that is the cathedral in downtown San Miguel de Allende. And it was like high noon, a beautiful day. And masks are required in Centro in downtown San Miguel de Allende. And I'm very anti-sun, so I'm always in a hat.
You
And
are? Oh, okay.
yeah, I'm always in a hat if I'm outside, especially in Mexico. And I love the style of the hats there. They have
Yeah,
really just beautiful wide brim hats. It's such a good look. I'm very appreciative that hats suit me. So I'm like, yes, let's just wear the hat. Don't have to wear a hat. Like the ornateness of that beautiful terracotta cathedral
yeah.
and sun streaming behind it. I thought, oh, this might make a really nice quick snap. And that's just what it was. I was walking through Centro. The sun was beautiful. The sky was beautiful. And I just took a quick selfie, and I agree with you. The framing came out so well. I just love the moment. And I constantly felt at home, at peace, and joyful when I was in San Miguel de Allende, and I was very inspired by Mexico. So this is just sort of a really grounding moment for me.
Yeah. Well, it's a perfect happy accident, I guess. Okay, so I know photography, and so something about it is a little bit processed. So you're probably shooting with an iPhone, yeah? Yeah.
Yep.
So it's great because that's what's amazing about technology, is that it's taken out the difficulty of sitting in a dark room or whatever it is, of really kind of worrying over the image, because it's absolutely perfect. You know, like, even though the fact that you're shooting at a midday into the sun with a blue sky and no clouds, you could still getting all this detail in this really incredible church, and the light on your face is molto bene, even though you're not in Italy, but it's very nice. So yeah, look, I love it.
Es muy bonita.
What?
Es muy bonita.
Okay, muy bonita. Yes. So how do we tie it back to your book that people have to get?
Well, I mean, Katie is the thread there, and I meant,
Right.
big power of tiny connections. And then what happened and how I was able to extend my trip so easily is I asked a friend in San Miguel if I could see her new construction. I'm very passionate about real estate. Real estate really interests me. And so she gave me a tour of her beautiful home. But on the way to tour her home, I passed another house that was being finished, renovated. And she pointed at it and she said, that guy just bought that house about a year ago and he's renovating it. And he literally came out on the street with a contractor. And it was an American and from Memphis. And I walked up to him and I said, hi, I'm touring my friend's house. She just lives up there. Like, have you guys met? They hadn't met. I introduced them. I said, I'd love to come and see what you did with the place. Can I circle back in 15 minutes? And he said, sure.
That's very considerate. It's a very considerate way to ask.
So 15 minutes later, I came back. He showed me what he'd done in the last 9 months. He'd done an amazing job. And the house was like a 4-bedroom, 4-bath he put a jacuzzi on the roof, and it was just amazing.
Yeah.
And I said, what's your plan? And he's like, oh, I'm going back to Memphis and I'm hoping to rent it, for Christmas. I'll be back in a couple months. And I was like, well, I just extended my trip and I'm looking for a place. And so I ended up moving into this gentleman's house 2 days later. And I loved it. And not only did I stay for 3 weeks, I ended up extending for another 3 weeks.
Amazing.
It was amazing. And so big power of tiny connections, because I walked up to someone in the street and I asked for what I wanted.
That's great.
And I mean, the subtitle of the book is How Small Interactions Spark Awesome Outcomes.
Yeah.
Like that was an absolute perfect demonstration of a small interaction sparking an awesome outcome. I got a
Sure.
great deal on a massively beautiful house that had just been renovated.
Right. If you're that kind of person who life is a gift, how do we make every second count? You're present and you're just like, wait a second, I'm not going to let convention stop me. So I'm just going to sort of step forward and see what the world gives back to me. Now, I kind of feel that there's an equal distribution of good and bad, right? So because I personally have had some pretty heavy on the negative side, that means to even things out, I've had some pretty amazing things on the positive side. So does your book dive into that dark well of the negative, of trauma, of pain?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no trauma in the book. I will say there's a chapter on how to escape gracefully from uncomfortable situations. There's, how to
Okay.
exit uncomfortable conversations with like the elegance of a Hollywood producer. Yeah,
Oh,
I've
is
got
that what we're
that.
doing now? Are you doing that to me now?
No, not at all. I'm actually completely confused as to how we got to dark trauma from how small interactions spark awesome outcomes. So I think you're going to have to like retrace that for me. Are you just saying that in life, one has to be open to the good and to the bad?
Sure. Yeah.
I think that's true, but my book is definitely not how to be open to the bad, right? My book
Right.
is trying to help people get more good
For
by
sure.
being more present, more aware, more vulnerable, more open. And also, how do you look at life? I am training, I hope, people to look at situations in a different way because you're exactly right. Most people would never ask a guy on the street for a tour of their home.
Hmm.
But what I know as someone in real estate is he worked very hard. He
Mm.
changed his house. He probably was very proud, and he was, and he had good reason to be very proud. His
Hmm.
home is
Hmm.
gorgeous. So I think understanding where he was coming from in that moment and leaning into it worked for him and it worked for me. So the book really helps people like twist their perspective a little bit. And
Okay.
the book is organized in such a way that it suggests that little connections can do a lot of things for you.
Absolutely.
Tiny connections can get you a better job. Tiny connections can help you be a better person. Tiny
Yep.
connections can get you invited to more parties.
Yep. Yep.
Tiny connections can help you get laid. Like it's
Hmm.
all about the connection, and the chapters are outlined as such. And each chapter has short stories in it. Each chapter has practical advice and how to's, and
Okay.
then like a cute little summation at the end where I basically sum up the chapter and say, what's the point? And that's
Right.
part one and part two of the book. And then part three of the book is pure practical,
Okay.
getting stuff done in life, getting into conversations, getting out of conversations, how to talk to strangers when you really
Hmm.
hate to. Because some people don't mind it and some people really do. So that's sort of how it's set up.
So you're in New York, and how do you live? Like, New York's an expensive place. Like you were saying before we got on the call that you're talking to a client.
I'm I'm an executive coach. So
Okay.
I'm an executive coach and I do corporate trainings.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, so I go into companies and I help them support their teams be masterful connectors, better storytellers, better presenters, so that they can connect with clients, connect with their teams.
Hmm.
When we tell audience centered stories, powerful shifts can happen on both sides. Powerful storytelling is foundationally what we need to do to be better in business, in my
Okay.
opinion.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So this is something that truly benefits. Also, companies are looking for different ways to retain employees. And when employees feel better about themselves at work and they feel like, oh, I'm really doing a much better job, then often that really helps with retention, which is a huge issue right now. And my training, by the way, is part training, but part one-on-one coaching. And that
Okay.
one-on-one coaching really shifts people into feeling so much better about their skill sets and themselves. And when you feel better about yourself, you're more productive, you're happier, you're more connected, you
Sure.
know?
Okay. Yes.
I do real estate, but not in New York City. Yeah.
Somebody who loves your voice and loves how your energy and loves how you're speaking. How do they connect with you on that side of things?
Yeah. So if you go to JenNash.com, you'll get all the lowdown on me. And if you add a /books, you can see my book. It's there. Talk about that. But yeah, like the corporate trainings is definitely my focus. And then I have very select group of female executive clients that I work with, which are a mix of entrepreneurs and executives. And that's, I hold that space very dear to myself because it's amazing when you can hold space for people one-on-one.
Power of little connections. When people hear my story in Hong Kong, it is pretty astounding. In that funny story, the month that I was conceived, think about that for a second. So the month that my parents had sex and I was conceived, it could be the same day, but I know it's the same month. When that happened, the same time, a man in Hong Kong went and registered DHL International in Hong Kong.
Oh, wow.
When DHL decided to go global, the first place they went to, the first office and the global headquarters they created was actually in Hong Kong with this guy, Po Chung. And I ended up crossing paths with this retired guy who wanted help writing his master's thesis. Didn't know who he was. And so we start working together. We had really good conversations. And then he made me an offer I couldn't refuse. For 15 years, we looked at, well, what is special about networks, human connections ultimately? So this is totally what you talk about, only different vocabulary. So it's in the same world. So I love what you're saying. I love it. Sorry that I talk so much.
No, I actually love the back and forth. It's feeling very refreshing. Sometimes when I'm on podcasts, doesn't feel as genuine because it's like me talking and I feel like I'm sort of talking at a wall.
I am here to celebrate your magic and your thing. So I think let us go on to the next photo, shall we?
Yes, let's do it. And by the way, I feel like you didn't finish the story. Was the guy you were working Po Chung?
Yeah.
You didn't add that in.
So sorry. Yeah. So the retired guy, I helped him write his MFA thesis because he's not a writer. I helped him do it. And my wife's like, so how much is he paying you? Because you've been doing like 2 or 3 months together. I said, we haven't talked about it. He's like, you haven't talked about it. The whole point of you doing this was for some extra cash. I was like, yeah, but we're having good conversations. And then he made me an offer that really blew things out of the water. And he's really special. He's super smart, super amazing. And if you think about DHL,
is he still alive?
Yeah.
Wow.
And if you think about what DHL is, they don't make anything. All they do and all they have is a connection between people globally.
Yeah.
Right? Let's say right now you want to send.
Oh, no. They're literally the number one. Like someone in Mexico literally said, oh, you want to send it to me? You can DHL it. And I said,
you have to.
I said, that's great in other countries. It's hard for me to DHL in New York. DHL secondary to FedEx here. FedEx runs the US, but DHL runs the world.
Exactly. Here's what's really funny. When I met him, I was like, we did this work for 2 or 3 months, and then and in Hong Kong, he's a celebrity, right? He's such a Hong Kong success story. And when I met him, I was like, so what's your story? Anyways, like, you're obviously, like, we're meeting at the Mandarin and you drive a really nice car. Like, what's your story? He goes, oh, I'm retired. I co-founded, like a express couriers company.
Yeah, express courier service.
And I was like, do I know what it is? And he's like, it's DHL. And because I'm from Canada, never used them. It's not a brand that I knew. So I just looked at him really blank. Like he could have said any 3 letters, like PNT, LTX, or whatever. And I was just like, okay, great. And then DHL is just so huge. But the point is, I've learned so much with him about ultimately human connection.
That's amazing. That's a very, very cool story. Thank you, Ran.
Also, another person I had on the podcast, episode whatever it is, with this woman, Kitty Chisholm. She is in the UK and she's in her 60s and she just started her PhD because she met Poe at Cambridge or something, and her work is exactly like what you're doing. I'll send you those links and I'll put them in the description, blah, blah, blah. But there's amazing convergence and overlap. Really, really interesting.
Interesting. And I love her name. Kitty Chisholm? Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, that's a fantastic name. And also, Oh Chong, great name.
Yeah.
These people.
Yeah. All these people with great names.
That's what I said. We're killing it in the name department.
Awesome.
Okay.
Next photo. Jennash, I love this conversation. This is great.
I'm so glad you like the way I curated my photos.
No, it's not only that. It's like 10 at night. I have no idea what we're going to talk about. I don't know who you are. But I'm like, I'm alive. I'm on fire. I say I'm on fire, and I just opened the photograph. And amazing. So it's a sunset. I had somebody on the podcast get really kind of annoyed, and it is really annoying when somebody makes a photograph and the horizon isn't straight. It's a pain in the ass. But in this case, the horizon is totally off kilter. The sky is these beautiful wispy clouds. The sun is setting, and roughly where the sun should be or would be is a lone person holding up a surfboard. And in the foreground, so 1/3 of the image is just the sky and this person almost in silhouette. And the color palette of the image is very lots of magenta and orange and blues, and it's just beautiful. In the foreground, there's this nice circle of, it's a big pebble beach. Could be British Columbia, for all I know. Nice fire, gorgeous fire. Jennash, what am I looking at? What is this?
The interesting thing is I didn't take this photo.
Okay.
This photo was taken in Todos Santos, Mexico. And it was taken a couple weeks ago by my friend Dan. And I just was like, that is the perfect end to a day.
Okay.
You can't get any better than that. And he was hanging with a bunch of surfer friends. Mm-hmm. And he's an artist inside. And I loved the colors. Mm-hmm. I have been taking sunset photos all year last year. Okay. And I got some pretty amazing ones while I was on a lake in Canada. But this one, I was like, damn it, this one wins. And
it's amazing.
It evoked such peace, but also such passion that I was like, oh, this is the kind of photo that you share, because it's just like an and it's that grounding vibe that you get from fireplaces and from that quiet at the end of a beautiful day. And you just know that they had a beautiful day surfing, just looking at that photo. And I love the colors so much. And I loved, like, there was something optimistic about the fire. Like, you can tell they're going to come, they're going to sit, they're going to drink, they're going to eat.
This is through a pandemic. And so what says freedom from the noise more than going in the water and a fire? And then, so just for the listener, the log is, it's like the fire's been going for maybe half an hour or something, so it's not fully burned down, but it's you can see some nice embers. But whoever made this on the beach, they made a nice sort of circle of these beautifully circular, polished oval stones. It looks like there's no sand, so it's a pebble beach or it's a rock beach. It's this lone person holding up a surfboard as the sun is setting, and you could totally think, I could probably get one more. There's still enough light for one more wave, or I know what you mean, and just evoking the smell of the fire and then the sound of the water and the crackling. But okay, so why does your brain say this has to be part of your story this morning for you?
It's funny. Like I wish I could remember what your assignment was because I guarantee you. So I met Dan at a retreat that I went to in November in Colorado.
Oh,
And Dan is actually from Portland. And I met and spent time with 8 people every day for a week in this
oh
particular
wow.
retreat that was very much about deepening connections to our hearts and to
Mm-hmm.
ourselves,
Okay.
and really leaning into the longing that we have to be more connected and to
Okay.
be more grounded in the love we have for ourselves and the people around us.
Okay.
And I think that there is a sweetness and a calm and an expanding when I look at this photo, because it's like all the good things. There's no one person that's the focus.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Breathing into a moment of peace and calm is so powerful.
Mm.
Yeah, it was something different to share.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just going to connect some dots as well. So, when I was in university, just before he died, Allen Ginsberg shows up to Concordia University and he starts reading his poetry. And he's, famous for his poetry, and it's massive crowd and everything. And one of the things he said I found really resonated with me was he said, there's something interesting that happens in our brains when we put two words together that don't make sense, right? So if I say Nazi and then I say milk, all of a sudden your brain is like, what? And that's a verbatim kind of quote from Allen Ginsberg in terms of the meaning you can create from the nonsensical, which is poetic in many ways. And so that's why I tell to people, look, just pick 4 photos that say something to you. And of course, what we're doing now is we're synthesizing something that reflects what you were thinking at that time when you were picking. So at that time in the past, 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago, and you send the images, your brain was in one direction. And so now that I'm seeing these for the first time, and we're creating Nazi milk between the sunset and those powerful women in Mexico. Like, it's pretty insane. It's amazing.
Yeah, but like if you look at it as a story arc, you've got powerful love through time, mother, child, supporting the idea of a book and a creative launch, right? Then you've got beautiful friendship, which ties into beautiful friendship at wedding, which ties into beautiful location, which
Mm-hmm.
gave me peace. And
Mm-hmm.
peace is fundamentally like grounded in simple things like water and the earth and the sky and
Mm-hmm.
fire. And for me, like water is foundationally like so grounding.
Mm-hmm.
Being near the ocean
Okay.
is amazing. It's such a privilege, I think, to spend time near the ocean. Um,
Right.
and it's funny because I recently lived in the Caribbean off and on for a couple of years. And I knew it was a privilege, and I knew it was a privilege that we were taking for granted. Like we didn't
Right.
enjoy it enough. So like, when you don't live near
Mm-hmm.
something that's gorgeous, you can really savor it. So I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it's actually an arc. It's a story arc.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And did I send you a bonus photo too? I think I did.
Uh, I always see your thumbnail. Some people send me, I say 4, they send me 4. Some people send me 10. So I always say I'm picking the first 4. So
Oh,
I didn't download.
how many did I send you? Just
I
4?
have no idea. I'm not looking at the message you
Oh,
sent, but I only downloaded 4.
got it. Fantastic.
Somebody who's listening who has no idea, they've heard us talking, have paid attention to your energy, are listening to your words, are understanding your motivation for putting together this book. What can you say now to activate something? Plant a seed. Like be a farmer, plant seeds in the fertile soil of some listener, so that in a week, a month, or a year, they'll be like, I heard this thing in a podcast, and shit, that made a lot of sense. So, what seed would you like to plant in somebody's ear?
Um, well, I would encourage all of us to like take another look at how we see connection in our lives, because beyond scientific data, of which there is so much. There's so much insight into, how connection and being in that feeling of connectivity with people in our lives is healthier for us than anything else. I would encourage people to just know that taking the time to connect is the most productive thing that they can do to thrive. And so how can they connect more with the world around them? Ask themselves, what could I do today so that I can connect and feel more connected with not only the people that I might connect with anyway, but maybe even extending beyond that. Whether it's having a slightly longer conversation with your doorman or the deli guy or, the person who's bagging your groceries. How do you engage with the world so that you are literally picking flowers for yourself and giving flowers for them? Yep. And through those little exchanges, we are shifting our energy and the energy of those around us. And that is the essence of thriving.
Jen, you're such a sweetheart. You're amazing. You're so nice.
You're so good with the flattery. Keep it coming. It's lovely.
No, but look,
I'll just roll around in it.
I love these moments, and it's only an hour, and they come and go, and it's like the perfect wave. It's like a perfect sunset.
Your energy is quite delightfully sparkling.
Yeah, listen, it's just lack of sleep and too much coffee, so it's great. It's great. Thank you so much.
Shooting it raw?
Yes, shooting it raw.